My guest is Mark Obamascik, who's written Halfway to Heaven and talks about your own personal experience of hiking all the 14ers in Colorado. Tell me how you decided to hike the 14ers.
Oh, thanks for having me. Well, I was fat, 44, and in the market for a vasectomy when I got a call out of the middle of nowhere, and our son, who was at his Colorado summer camp, it turns out had hiked up to Pikes Peak with a bunch of buddies and fallen down and had slashed open his shin to the bone. And he just kept saying, "Dad, calm down, calm down. Dad, I made it to the summit of Pikes Peak. I watched the sunrise from over 14,000 feet high. Did you know it's the mountain that inspired Catherine Lee Bates to write America the Beautiful?" And I'm yelling, saying, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" He said, "Dad, they're taking me to the hospital. It's no big deal." He said, but the mountain, it was just this amazing experience. And then he stopped and he just said, "Dad, how about if we hike a 14er together?" Well, the idea was to try to finish him off in the summer. My deal with my wife saw that I was kind of in the middle of a middle-aged funk. And she was excited to see me excited about something. And so she had kind of given me permission to go off and try to hike the peaks. Now, in Colorado, there's 54 mountains over 14,000 feet. And for my skill or ability level, really, I just had about 3 months to be able to do them because part of the deal was that I wouldn't try to be hiking anything under winter conditions. It took me longer to write the book than it took to hike the mountains. It did. Part of what I really thought was great about this project. I've lived in Colorado since 1985, but I learned a lot about the state along the way. The Tabors, for example, I knew the Tabors mainly as the place, is the failed shopping center on the 16th Street Mall in Denver, where ESPN Zone flopped. The Tabor Center. It turns out that Horace Tabor really had a doozy of a midlife crisis. He actually was married to 2 women at the same time, which was great preparation for him joining the U.S. Senate. So I got to fold in a lot of that, which was fun. But really, it's blessed. All of a sudden, I was out with guys in their 20s, with people in one case in his 70s, and I really learned who's on the 14er circuit. I was out with a guy who was a drag racer. And his goal was to perform a headstand on top of every 14,000-foot mountain in Colorado. And frankly, I saw him do that in a 30-mile-an-hour wind with about an 800-foot abyss over his shoulder. I was out with the lead oboe player of a Hebrew salsa band. I was out with a young man who was on a hike or a climb of the Maroon Bells. I was a newspaper reporter for a lot of years at the Denver Post, but when I started writing books, somebody sent me along a quote from Robert Altman, the director, which has always kind of been my inspiration, and it said that writing is the art of avoiding procrastination. So, so for me, the best time to write is, I guess, when I'm afraid I haven't done enough. The Big Year is a story about 3 very different men who had a contest to see who can see the most birds in North America in 1 year. And you do it by any means necessary. They go by plane, by train, by automobile. They traveled over 300,000 miles, spent over $150,000, and went. At one point, one of the guys lived for 6 weeks on an uninhabited Alaskan island that was 1,500 miles from Anchorage, but only 200 miles from Asia. And he sat there in the spring and waited for the strongest El Nino on record to blow Asiatic birds into North American airspace just so he could count them. The 3 people I wrote about were really terrific and very different guys. They've got terrific actors. Our family visited the set earlier this year out in Vancouver. The stars, the main actors are Jack Black and Steve Martin and Owen Wilson.
Can't wait to see it. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thanks.